So what's with all of these negative YouTubers and such entitled consumers? Well, grab a taco, pull up a chair, and we'll discuss it. Welcome back to Tex-Mex Nerd Feed, where we are dedicated to creating discussion by providing our opinions and proposing ideas on your favorite nerd culture. My name is Brandon, and I'm going to be your host for today. So, a quick channel update, just to get it out of the way. The live podcasts, I haven't been doing them as of late. It was mostly because of Father's Day, but it made me realize that the whole point of those live podcasts were to take place of the unscripted discussion videos, the Let's Talk About It videos that Tex and I were doing together. Well, because Tex is no longer going to be a part of the channel, it's just kind of not working out the way I wanted it to, so I'm just kind of trying to transition into doing these scripted videos every Wednesday, and then on just random Sundays at 8 p.m. like I have been doing the live podcasts. If I come up with an idea for something that I can kind of ramble on about, I will record a podcast and I will upload that at 8 p.m. on Sundays. Okay, so getting back to the video, for those of you who don't know, there has been a recent outrage about YouTubers who are so negative towards things that they might review, things that they might talk about. A lot of people get angry about it because they get a lot more views on negative content than they do on positive stuff, which is understandable. But a lot of people are ridiculing them, and there was recently an article that came out that was written by a guy named Ian Scher, something like that, about how angry YouTubers are and how they kind of get those views just from being angry. In addition to that article that Ian wrote, there are also always comments on social media, on the internet, whatever. Whenever somebody suggests a complaint or a grievance or a gripe of some sort about a particular service or product that they experienced or are fearful that they might experience if they actually go through with the purchase of that product, you see people replying to those comments all the time saying like, well, you need to quit being so greedy, you need to quit being so entitled, you're not entitled to anything. So, let's prove that wrong. So what sticks out to me first and foremost is freedom of speech. Every single person on this earth is born with the freedom of speech, the right to free speech. I don't care what the laws actually say. Any laws infringing on that freedom in any country whatsoever is wrong, morally, ethically wrong. It's everybody has the right to free speech. So I'm fortunate that I'm in America, and a lot of the other YouTubers that I watch that do post these negative videos about certain things, games, comics, whatever, they're American. Not only are they born with the right to free speech, they have a law called the First Amendment of the United States Constitution that guarantees that right to free speech. So that's my biggest gripe about this issue. People trying to censor our freedom of speech, and that's not right. That's not going to happen. People have killed over that. So that is by far the worst part about this situation, is that people trying to invoke censorship on a bunch of things that other people are saying. So there is a part in the United States Constitution that kind of limits, like there's an exception to free speech, and that is slander and libel. The slander and libel part of the First Amendment is an exception that essentially protects entities and people from receiving a bad reputation by false accusations from somebody else. So, for example, if I buy a game and I don't like the product and I make a video like I am right now, and I say, hey, this is what I don't like about the video. I'm disappointed with it. I have problems with this game mechanic, this microtransaction aspect, the whatever, loot boxes, whatever it might be. If I have a problem with it, I have the right to voice it. Now, that is completely different. What would fall under slander or libel is if, what would fall under slander is if I made this video and I said that the developers of whatever game I purchased that I didn't like, that I didn't enjoy, I just went and accused all of the developers of being rapists, pedophiles, child molesters, whatever. Like, that is slander. Now, libel would just be if I had a blog or something and I just kind of, I typed it up, I wrote it down that, like, these people are rapists, pedophiles, whatever. So it's pretty much false accusations that can give an entity, people, a bad reputation. So that's where the exception is to freedom of speech. So do you see the difference here? I mean, on one end, with the first example, I am just giving my opinion on certain aspects of a product that I do not like. I'm giving my opinion. I'm not throwing false accusations out there at all. Now, the second part, the slander and libel part, it is obvious that it's wrong when you're throwing out false accusations about people who can't defend themselves. It's just obviously wrong. So, in the end, we just shouldn't try to censor people just because it hurts your feelings, just because it makes you feel bad, just because you don't agree with their opinion. That's not how freedom of speech works. You do not get to decide how other people utilize their rights. Now, some people will say, well, it's my right to say that these people shouldn't be negative and stuff. Yeah, you're right. It is in your rights to say that. That's your freedom of speech. But you're not just stopping there. You're not just saying, hey, you shouldn't be negative. Hey, you shouldn't be pointing out your gripes. You're saying that other people should force their hand to prevent people like me, people like Boogie2988, to stop saying negative things. They're trying to force their hand to prevent people like us from having a freedom of speech. So, yeah, you could say what you want about negative YouTubers, you can say what you want about entitled consumers, but in reality, you don't get to decide how they use their rights. Continue saying what you want, but you better not act on it. Alright, so let me propose a question. Ian Scher, whatever his name is, the person who wrote the article about angry YouTubers, I want to know when he obtained his PA paramedic certification. I honestly don't know if he did or he didn't, but I can guarantee you that he never worked one of my shifts that I still got paid for. So what gives him the right to decide what I can and cannot say about my property, about a product that I purchased with the money that I worked for? There is nothing he can say about it. If I want to rant about something, I can do it because I bought this camera, I bought this microphone, I bought this computer, I bought these lights. I bought everything that is in my possession right now. Sure, whatever his freaking name is, didn't buy me a single damn thing, so he doesn't get to dictate what I say about it. Alright, let's move away from freedom of speech for a moment. Let's get into a definition. Definition of supply and demand. I'll throw it up on your screen for you. So, supply and demand is defined as the amount of a commodity, product, or service available, and the desire of buyers for it, considered as factors for regulating price. So, looking back at supply and demand, there can sometimes be situations that arise when a commodity, a product, or a service does not meet a general standard. And if that general standard isn't met, the general consumer gets to decide whether or not they purchase that product. So, you might ask, well, who gets to decide? Who gets to determine what this standard is? Well, you do. I do. We all do. The people who are forking out their money to buy these commodities, products, or services get to decide whether it's worthwhile or not. Alright, so you don't believe me? Let's look at an example. You ever hear of a game called Fallout 76? Alright, well, the game came out and it was complete trash. It was garbage. And guess what? A lot of YouTubers, bloggers, vloggers, whatever, created their content around that game being a piece of crap. And I'm fortunate for it because I was originally going to buy that game and I decided not to because of the negative reviews. So I ended up being lucky because of these negative YouTubers and these negative consumers. So, getting back to the example, some gamers bought Fallout 76 and hated it. They either just trashed it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be, whatever their form of media is to get their opinion out there. They trashed it, they didn't like it, they warned other people, hey, this game is garbage. So other people wanted a refund for it. Some people weren't granted that refund for it, which is how we got this. And other gamers, like myself, as I said before, were saved the issue of having to fight for a refund or having to waste that money on that product that was complete garbage. Okay, so as we were talking about supply and demand, now that the desire for that game decreased significantly, the demand also decreased. It works hand in hand. The desire for the product, commodity, or service goes down. That's what demand is. So if that goes down, then the demand goes down as well. Issue being is that Bethesda made copies of the game as if it were going to sell like hotcakes, as if it were going to do well and sell well. And retailers bought this item under the same notion. They thought that the game was going to sell well. They thought that they were going to be making a profit by selling this game. Well, guess what? Because of how many copies Bethesda made and how many copies retailers bought, supply just skyrocketed. So you have a low desire for a commodity, product, or service, plus a high supply of it. What's going to happen? The price is going to have to come down. So where it was normally priced at $60, it ended up being that the retailers were trying to give the game away. They would be selling bundles, fake bundles, ones that weren't endorsed by, let's say, Sony, a bundle of a PlayStation, and they just kind of wrap Fallout 76 in that, or with that PlayStation, to just get rid of it. So let's say that happens again. Let's say Bethesda does the same thing, makes the same mistakes, and retailers purchase that product again, and they end up being screwed over by Bethesda's mistakes again, and they have to get rid of their inventory again. They are eventually going to decide to stop doing business with Bethesda. And guess what? Bye-bye, Bethesda. They're no longer going to exist. So, to kind of wrap this point up, I, who am forking out my money for this commodity, product, or service, get to decide whether or not these companies who make the product, provide the service, get to actually survive. If I stop forking out my money, you stop forking out your money, we all stop giving our money to this company who's providing such terrible commodities, products, or services, that company will cease to exist. That's how business works. If you are in the business of providing these items, providing a commodity, product, or service, and you don't provide it in an adequate way, or if you don't meet a standard that the customer sets, then you're going to go under. You're going to stop selling your commodity, product, or service, and you are going to stop having a profit margin. You stop having a profit margin, you can't put that money into your company to grow the company, so you can't just keep it. It's usually a snowball effect when people have these companies. They will invest in their own company to enlarge it, and then they can provide more commodities, products, or services. But if they stop selling, if they stop bringing in an income, they can no longer do that. Eventually, they're going to start barely scraping by. I mean, but it's the video game industry. Are they really going to stop being profitable? I don't know. Has there been any layoffs in some of the game studios lately? Have certain game studios gone under lately? Yeah, I'm pretty sure quite a few of them have. I'm pretty sure they have. So, as I said before, we get to decide whether they stay afloat or not. Because in the end, the customer is always right. So, this is why it drives me nuts when people reply to a negative comment of mine, or post a comment on the YouTube comment section saying that I should be negative, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. You have no right to tell me what I can and cannot say. So, if you don't like it, you can click away. If you do like it, maybe you will be forewarned in the future, or for the future, I should say. I just posted a question on Facebook asking my Facebook friends, how many of you refer to online media to obtain information about a product or service prior to purchasing it? And 100% of them said they always do. A good portion of them, probably 50%, me being one of them, will give themselves days to research a product before purchasing it. Now with the YouTube channel, with video games or movies, I just go and see them first, and then I provide a review. So rather than being the person who sits and waits for reviews of certain things, I'm the one that gives them. Which is why I can be so negative sometimes, because that's just how it has to be. If I already am interested in buying a commodity product or service, I don't need to be convinced to get it. I'm already convinced. I need to know if there's anything that will stop me from buying it. Fallout 76, Anthem, Star Wars, Battlefront 2. Just, there are so many games that I have been forewarned about by reviewers, by YouTubers, by these negative YouTubers, that it stopped me from making a stupid decision and buying a game that I would not like in the end. We as consumers get to decide our opinions on products and services that we purchase with our money. And that, coupled with freedom of speech, means you can't tell us as YouTubers, you can't tell anybody else as general consumers of a product what they can and cannot say about that product. They can say whatever it is that they want, so long as it's not slander or libel, as we talked about before. So, in conclusion, stop thinking that you can tell us what we can say. Stop thinking you could tell us what we do with our property. Stop telling us that we do not have a say in what we purchase. And for the love of God, just stop being a fucking communist. So, that is going to be it for me. I got a little heated in that video, but it's okay because the next video that I'm going to be doing is going to be a little bit more lighthearted. I'm going to be doing a Crash Team Racing versus a Super Mario Kart or Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, whatever it is, for Nintendo Switch, and I'm going to compare them, decide, or help you decide which to purchase, which might be more down your alley. So if you're looking forward to that, go down, subscribe, hit that notification bell, like the video if you did like it, leave a comment if you have anything to add. If it's negative, you can add it, but don't expect me to change it. And like I said before, just hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time we upload a video. I am working on creating a Twitter page, so go ahead and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and I will link the Twitter page once I'm finished in the description below. So that is going to be it for me. Have a good day.